Hello and welcome to our when to expect your peak fall foliage video. This is one we do every year. I'm glad to be doing this today. We did our first freeze video yesterday. You can check that out. It's on the top right corner of your screen. Now it's important to note that this video is your peak fall foliage and not the beginning of your fall foliage. So this is the very tippy top, most colorful foliage that you will get all year. Now there is other videos I'm going to be making like this coming up soon, like when to expect your first snowfall. So that's going to be obviously very similar. And we will go over every single area you see here. And then we're also going to go over the snowfall forecast for an actual range amount of how much snowfall you can expect during the winter on an annual average. So that's going to be a very exciting one too. We will be going over all of these very, very soon. We do them every single year. Now here is your first layer, and we're taking a look here at our late September layer. So as early as late next month, we're going to have some areas hitting their peak fall foliage. Now that's going to be for the mountains of Montana, as well as Idaho, down through Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado as well. Now that's not only that region, we also see northern Minnesota. And then we see also there in northern Wisconsin and also the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, we're seeing some of that as well. So we're seeing some of those areas get involved. And then we could see for a lot of the Northeast there, like the Adirondacks of New York. We can see the Green Mountains of Vermont, the White Mountains of New Hampshire, and then the hilly inland regions of Maine there, which are also quite mountainous. Very, very similar to New Hampshire and Vermont. Not quite as big with the mountains, but pretty close. Very, very beautiful region in my opinion. I've been to the far north in Maine. It's almost like I saw a lot of lumberjacks. That's what I kind of remember. It was a long time ago, but really beautiful region. Now let's add our next layer, and this is going to be our early October region in here. So we see a lot more areas get involved here. Still mostly mountainous regions. And then kind of the upper Midwest. That's the two regions we're seeing get involved here. So we're seeing surrounding regions there in the Rockies. So more mountains of Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, and now even New Mexico and Arizona getting involved a little bit as well in this kind of maroon color here that we have going on. We can also see for northern half of Maine or Minnesota, I would say, and Maine, but we'll get to that in a minute. But Minnesota, just on the really down the middle of Minneapolis, it appears. We see this early October region. We also see the northern 3/4 of Wisconsin also seeing early October as when to expect their peak fall foliage. We also see both the upper and lower peninsulas of Michigan getting involved. We also see some of the Appalachian Mountains as well. Tennessee, North Carolina, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, up through New York, and then overtaking a vast majority of the state of Vermont, as well as New Hampshire and at least half of Maine there as well in this early October region. So we're seeing a lot of areas get involved with this second layer. Now let's move on to the third layer, and this is when we're going to really start to involve a lot of people. We can see that around half the nation sees their peak fall foliage near mid-October. And again, this is all national averages. This is not even a forecast. This is just literally what to expect according to averages. Now we can see the mountains of California start to get involved here. Also the Cascades up there in Oregon and Washington. We're starting to see some of those ranges see their fall foliage by mid-October. We also see that most of Nevada, Utah, Colorado, a lot of Arizona, New Mexico are in here, Idaho as well, all of Montana, Wyoming, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, half of Missouri, half of all the Ohio Valley states like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, a lot of Kentucky there, eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee, then western North Carolina, western Virginia, and West Virginia. Then we see up through the Northeast like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, most of Massachusetts here. And then all the northern New England states like Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine are all in this red color for mid-October. So we start to get a lot of the nation in mid-October seeing their peak fall foliage. Now by late October, we get these yellow areas involved. So all of Washington, all of Oregon, a lot of California there actually, southern Nevada, A little bit of Utah, a little bit of Arizona and New Mexico as well. We get further south into Texas, Oklahoma. A lot of Kansas is in there. Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, the rest of Kentucky, a majority of Tennessee, some of northern Georgia, and then we see kind of the western regions there in South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and even New Jersey in this late October fall foliage region. Now we have one more here, and this is going to be our November region, and this means that basically at any point in November, that's when you guys will expect to see your peak fall foliage take place. So we see a lot of the deeper south states in here, mostly here for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Eastern Virginia there, as well as the Delmarva, and then Southern Maryland as well, and Southern New Jersey. Now these regions south of the November region, that means that likely, according to average, you really don't even really see fall foliage that much. It might be just the leaves dying. They might not even die depending on how far south you are. It might literally just not even change. So it really just depends on your region. I know some of these southern November areas in the November region don't even really see color. It's from what I've heard, they kind of just dry out in a different way. I've heard a lot of that. They turn kind of gray and just shrivel up. It's not like they turn red and yellow and orange like our northern states. So that's always been really interesting to me. Let me know when you usually see your first fall foliage, and if you think you'll see it earlier or later than average. I'd be curious to hear about that in the comments below. But first, before we close things out, let's take a look at that fall forecast real quickly, because this does play a role. Obviously, precipitation plays a role. Usually, I've noticed, honestly, in high precipitation years, I've seen better fall foliage in those years. But it is more of a temperature thing, but precipitation does change and affect them. I've heard different things from different people, so it's going to be an opinion-based thing, but definitely does play a little bit of a role at least. Obviously, if things are dry, it can help things get started, but you're not going to see those vivid color in a super, super dry leaf. So I hope that makes sense as well. That's always kind of been my theory. The higher the precipitation, the more you're going to see those vivid colors in a still bendy leaf that obviously has some water in it. Now, we do see that the southwest for California, a little bit of Nevada and Arizona, does expect below average precipitation for the fall time. We also see most of the plains there, and then the southeast and deep south. So the deep south and the southeast, you can see that darker brown region. That's where we're even more confident in the below average precipitation. So definitely those areas we can expect below average precipitation is the expectations, like I said before. Now, above average precipitation, we see the Ohio Valley, a little bit of the interior northeastern United States, the Great Lakes as well. And then we can see for the northwest, up there in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, a little bit of northern California and Nevada. We do see above average precipitation expected there as well. So this could aid or hinder fall foliage, just depending on, it might depend on the type of tree, I don't really know. But I've always noticed, again, high precipitation is kind of what leads to best colors to me, but I've heard either. Now, for temperature, and this definitely plays a bit more of a role here, we can see below average temperatures here for the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast here, below normal temperatures. What does this mean? Well, first off, you could see your fall foliage earlier than average. So earlier than what I showed on those maps, because that is your average. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second off, another important thing, I know here in Virginia, this is something that kind of can hinder our colors, and this is what my mom always told me. I don't know if this is completely true. I think some things your parents tell you just stick with you no matter what, but my mom always said that if the nights turn really, really cold before the day turns cooler, so for instance, if it's like still 80 in the day, but the nights are turning super cold, it can cause the foliage to just kind of dry out and not really show that vivid color. Or if it just, you see a really sharp cool down and then a warm up and then a cool down and then a warm up, and you're not really like subtly changing over to fall, that's another thing that can hinder it. She said to get great fall foliage color, it has to just slowly descend into cooler temperatures pretty smoothly from warm over to temperate to cooler to cold, not from hot to cold. If it just snaps like that, it really just doesn't, it hinders the fall foliage. It's kind of what she explained to me. I don't know. Maybe somebody knows more than me. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that is true or if you've heard that before. But that's always kind of what she said. And from my experience, that has been relatively true. Now, we do expect above average temperatures here in the west and then a lot of the southern United States. So especially the south central United States and then a bit of the southeast as well, expecting those above normal temperatures throughout the fall time. So this could mean that you see your first fall foliage or your peak fall foliage later than average. So keep that in mind as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate you guys so much. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd really appreciate to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.